From what I see, I believe a plan prepared to overthrow United States from the Olympus of their power was planned a long time ago. Back in 2002, which is equally 20 years ago, Putin told Russian businesses to move their money from Western offshores, otherwise they risk to eat dust in order to return those money from there. Now, 20 years later, this warning has come true, which means that the strategy of Russia's actions was created way back now. In 2002, US withdrew from ABM treaty and decided to place ABM system in Europe, on our borders, as if against Iran. Yeah. Immediately after this announcement, Putin announced that missiles operating on new principles would soon appear in Russia, and they would simply deny American missile defense system. Moreover, they will cost way less than American system. And now, back in 2018, during an address to the Federal Assembly, Putin showed the world animation of these very new missiles, including Poseidons and Persevat. In addition to develop new types of weapons, Russia has launched a program to re-equip all army with new types of weapons already developed and by now nearly finished with it. The nuclear triad of Russia has been modernized by 90%, Army, Navy and Air Force more than by 70%, which means everything went according to a long-term plan, at the end of which there was a main goal. At the best moment for us, and at the worst for the West, to enter into a decisive battle with the Empire of Evil in order to destroy it. Back in 2007 in Munich, Putin openly challenged West for the first time, declaring that Russia would not put up with the position of servants for white masters in the unipolar world. If you don't want to have a bunch of problems in the future, then let's negotiate spheres of influence in the world in order to find a touchpoint that first of all suits for us. Then West only laughed, considering Putin a lame duck who will be replaced by another president in a year. In 2008, our president gave Uncle Sam first signals in Georgia. In addition, he recognized South Ossetia and Abkhazia. However, then West did not take Russia's actions seriously, believing that Putin still has strong influence on Spec Ops, with whom he won Chechen War. In 2012, our Western partners were in a big surprise as Putin made a comeback. So-called Swamp Revolution, organized by the West to prevent Putin from coming to the power, which main slogan was "Putin go away," failed completely. After 2 years, in 2014, the West again celebrated victory, having carried out a coup in Ukraine and put the head of Ukraine neo-Nazis, which in the end caused Crimea sailing away from them to homeland, to Russia. Many so-called experts then explained this phenomenon as Putin's has decision under circumstances. However, they couldn't explain how in such a short period of time it was possible to plan such a large-scale operation that ended in our fastest ever victory without no blood. Indeed, in the Crimea at that time there was a third of army of Ukraine, with American-backed radicals and international terrorists trained by US. Without preparations we wouldn't succeed then, as such scenarios are not written on the knee. Moreover, it was necessary not only to have a plan for the return of Crimea home, but also to prepare special operations forces for it. And here, world saw polite people. This is why everything went according to a well-prepared plan, which mixed all cards for our main geopolitical enemy. In 2015, when everyone shouted Putin send troops, our president did that, but not to Ukraine, what he was called, but to Syria, another surprise for US. In Syria we not only set up a main Middle East stronghold, but also fully prepared the army for a decisive battle. Then all types of our new weapons were tested in battle conditions with irregular forces of United States Army. Without this experience, aiming at the final demolition of the world order would be a big mistake. We don't do anything on chance anymore. We must actually test tactics, strategy, new weapons in order to apply them during a decisive battle. At the same time, we strengthen our economy for it to become strong and reliable. Just remember when we introduced our own counter-sanctions against Western agricultural producers who are hysterically shouting, "Putin, what are you doing? We are going to die of hunger. We don't have anything of our own." At this moment, many have already decided to switch to eating of hedgehogs, and then, surprise, surprise, Shelves of grocery stores were filled with Russian production. A little later, our country even became the main exporter of food. Does anyone think that such a plan of import substitution that implemented almost instantly was also written on the knee? No, friends, we no longer rely on chance. This is not how we work. I am sure new surprises regarding import substitution are on the way. Preparing for a decisive battle, Putin prepared a reliable rear by bringing all of our outskirts of USSR closer to Moscow, which broke away from Greater Russia at the time of collapse of Soviet Union. Now let me show you some changes taking place in post-Soviet space. First, order to send CSTO troops to Kazakhstan is given by Pashinyan, who ironically came into the power through West-backed revolution in Romania. In addition, the fact that President of Kazakhstan, Tokayev, requests assistance to the CSTO also speaks for itself. Anyway, this has never happened, although there have never been many attempts to make a coup, both successful and completely failed. Just before a special operation in Ukraine, President of Azerbaijan, Aliyev, came to Kremlin and had a constructive conversation with Putin as Baku realized Turkish umbrella was the most reliable one. Belarus leader Lukashenko not only said he considers Moscow to be his capital, but also provide his territory for the enemy of our troops into Ukraine. These are not just words, but actions that speak for themselves. During Russian peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, Mishustin held a meeting with EAEU countries as if nothing happened, which in fact is a significant moment. Moldova, without blackmail or moaning about evil Gazprom twisting the hands of the poor Moldovans, pays for the gas, it received it, while so-called American diplomats in Transnistria simply ran away from the country. And yeah, surprise surprise once again, Georgia not only refused to impose sanctions against Russia, but also offered to use its banks to bypass Western sanctions. And that's not all. Georgian politicians demand non-block status for the country from Georgian authorities. So what do we see from the news in post-Soviet space? Rise of new Russian Empire. Basically, rise of the new Russian Empire. So, based on what we already mentioned above, here what we have today. Well-prepared economy. Just remember our ambassador to Sweden, Tatarintsev, words when he commented sanctions, "We don't give a damn about your sanctions," and Prime Minister Mishustin confirmed his words, Russia is completely ready for a new stage of import substitution. From now, Western patent law does not exist anymore. We will easily produce these goods that West produces and will conquer world markets. Neighborhood is strong and reliable, and most of the destructive puppets are not in power anymore. Army, Navy and VKS are fully prepared to complete missions assigned to them. The Federation Council gave permission to use Russian armed forces abroad, to what Putin said, "Why did you decide that the army will be used only in Ukraine?" And indeed, there is no space for Russia to exist in Uncle Sam's New World Order. However, Russia has never been a colony and never will be. Period. There is also another interesting moment here. Uncle Sam himself closed the door for offshore aristocracy. Previously, this group of rich people thought they were sharks of capitalism, but for the West they were just a carp. Just time passed, and it's placed now in a dump. Well, who wants such fate? Definitely not our moneybags. Therefore, how cute, they will bring lots and lots of money to create our new infrastructure, to build new factories and plants, so that Uncle Sam can pull his eye. Are they sharks or where? Russia's elites united as never before. On 21st of February, before the official recognition of republics of Donbass, all members of the Security Council spoke as one. It's time for decisive battle with the West. To Duma vote for recognition of republics. The Federation Council issues permission for the use of army abroad, and everyone, without exception, support this decision. Most likely Kremlin itself spread rumors about two camps in Kremlin, which probably deluded that Russia is still the same gas station as it was in the 90s, only slightly changed rhetoric. This was supposed to mean that once West decide to put the pressure on us with sanctions, Russia will give up straight away. Ex-President and Deputy Chairman of the Security Council, Medvedev, has already said that Russia is breaking off relations with the West. Embassies on barn logs will look at each other only through the optical side. Nationalization of all Western assets, located in Russia, as central bank has already blocked all shares of Western investors, and if the West does not capitulate shortly, then it will be nationalized. Europe is second in the line after Ukraine, and it will pay highest price for supporting Russian genocide in Donbass. So-called European white gentlemen will be sent to the Middle Ages. You need to understand that today's mega crisis is only fault of Washington, but time has come to implement Russian plan, and we are ready to take the US from the crown chessboard. In conclusion, wish our military fighting neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine a quick victory. Work, brothers. Russia is praying for each of you. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell.